Today is our second session of AtmaBodha. So before we get started, as always, let's pray our respect and gratitude towards everybody who is working for us, the healthcare professionals and everybody. So really mean it. Okay, so with that, we can get into the text. So in the first session, what we did was we tried to understand where exactly the AtmaBodha fits within the domain of the Vedic literature or within the layers of Vedic literature. We have seen a brief introduction of the system of scriptures in the Vedic literature. So 7 layers we have seen, and AtmaBodha is a Prakarana Grantha which comes at the 7th layer of that scriptural domain. So today we will do a quick introduction on AtmaBodha, and then we will jump into the AtmaBodha text itself, and we will cover the first 3 verses, and we will reserve some 10 minutes for question answers. And I got a very interesting question offline. I'll try to answer that at the end. This question was mainly regarding the scriptures we talked about last week. So with that, let's get into AtmaBodha. So first point is that AtmaBodha is a Prakarana scripture. Do you remember what is a Prakarana scripture? Anybody?
It's collections from various scriptures.
Yep.
Together.
Yes. The purpose is?
The purpose is to self-unfoldment.
The introduction, like more than self, of course, Upanishad is also self-unfoldment, but the purpose of a Prakarana book is twofold. One is the first category of Prakarana books or the main Prakarana books. The goal is to introduce the teachings of the Vedic scriptures so that we can go and study the other layers of the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads or Sutras, because it introduces the basic concepts and terminology so that we won't feel completely blank when we go and read an Upanishad. So this is a mandatory study before the study of any major Vedantic book. So we saw the examples like AtmaBodha, AtmaBodha, Vivekachudamani, Aparochanubhuti, etc. And the second category of the Prakarana book is what? After studying the Upanishad, it will reconcile everything. So the classic example is Panchadashi. So these type of Panchadashi or Dakshinamurti Stotram, such books will be studied after studying the Upanishads, whereas the books like AtmaBodha or the TattvaBodha are Prakarana books which should be studied prior to the study of the Upanishads. So please keep in mind. So this is the 7th layer of scriptures in our Vedic system. The purpose is to introduce the other scriptures and basic technological term or terminology, basic terminologies. So it's a Prakarana book, and the book itself reveals the content or the subject matter of the book. Atma means myself. Bodha means knowledge. So it is giving the knowledge about myself. Who am I? That is the main focus of this book, AtmaBodha. Whereas TattvaBodha, there is another book, the key focus is Tat. So Tat means that. That means the absolute reality. An understanding of the absolute reality. Basically, both are same. So that we will come and see later. So TattvaBodha, the focus is myself. The TattvaBodha, the focus is the higher truth. AtmaBodha, the focus is myself. And the beauty of this text is, it introduces almost all the key Vedantic topics in simple Sanskrit. Anybody interested in learning chanting? This is very easy to learn to chant. It's not a difficult thing to chant. So it can be learned easily to chant. It's in simple Sanskrit, and it describes the different stages of the self-identity. Initially, when you identify with the body, what exactly it is. When you identify with the Sukshma Sharira, what exactly is your feeling, everything. And it also is going to talk about when you identify with your own true nature. And the beauty of this text is that every verse, after the introductory verse, every verse is giving one example. And one example from the real day-to-day life. So we can easily relate to that. So that is the style of this scripture. And there are 68 couplets in the entire textbook. Like there are 68 verses. And there is no grouping or classification or title. It's just 68 verses are given for the AtmaBodha. And the authorship of this text is generally attributed to Shankara. But some people always question that, right? So that's exactly what one question I had. Because the other day I was just explaining all the scriptural domain. Like I said, Vyasa classified the Vedas. I said Vyasa wrote the Brahma Sutra. And then I said Vyasa wrote the 18 Puranas and the 18 Upapuranas. And then I said Vyasa wrote the Mahabharata. So somebody asked me, is it humanly possible? So I'll explain that with a legitimate, logical answer. It could be an aha moment for a lot of you, but I will explain at the end. So then the authorship is attributed to Shankara, and definitely it follows the style of the Shankara. The question is, it could be Shankara, Adi Shankaracharya, or it could be somebody later in his lineage, but the tradition believes that it is Adi Shankaracharya. So the Vedanta tradition believes that this textbook is composed by Adi Shankaracharya for his disciple AtmaBodha. AtmaBodha was one of his chief major disciples. 4 disciples, one was AtmaBodha. So Shankara composed this work for AtmaBodha. So that's the belief, and it is better to believe that. And it doesn't matter who composed it. The content is more important. And generally believed that it is Shankara. So with that, I just wanted to quote one beautiful quote Swami Chinmayananda did in his book, AtmaBodha. So the 2 popular commentaries on AtmaBodha is, one is in 1947, a commentary was written by Swami Nikhilananda. Swami Nikhilananda. He was in US. He was a Ramakrishna mission monk. His commentary is there. I already put that commentary in our OneDrive in the library. You can all download. And the second commentary, the most popular one of the books, modern commentary, is by Swami Chinmayananda. Swami Chinmayananda's commentary is also good. It's available in Kindle. It is available with the Chinmaya Mission. So that's a good source. And the third book we can refer for AtmaBodha is the Chinmaya International Foundation in Kerala. They have a study notes created by the students. So that's also a good source. I'll be using that. And then Swami Paramarthananda had done some talks on AtmaBodha. And in the YouTube channel of ArshaBodha, Swami Tadatmananda put a video with the verses and the chanting and the brief meaning. That is extremely useful. And the last one I would say is Swami Dayananda Saraswati also had done a class on AtmaBodha. So those are the key sources you can use. But I would be referring all that and talking to you. And the books are already there in the OneDrive. And if you want, you can download and read. It is better to read that offline and come back with any questions you may have. See, it means I may not follow exactly like the commentary. I would follow based on the best understanding we get from multiple sources and our own contemplation. And that freedom we have to take. But we will be always keeping our foot on the traditional teaching. So Swami Chinmayananda said, right, this is the sentence he wrote. He said, Shankaracharya, in the days of his perfect maturity, took up his pen to write the introductory books. What was the purpose? Introducing the theme of Vedanta to the infants in the spiritual world. Look at the language he has used. Brilliantly explained. So, introducing the theme of Vedanta for the infants in the spiritual world. AtmaBodha is one of them. And any ideas discussed in the AtmaBodha is not Shankaracharya's idea. It is all lifted from Upanishad. But he presented with brilliant similes and he presented it for the infants in the spiritual world. So people like us. So that's really brilliantly put. That's why I quoted that. So with that, we can move to the verse. First verse. The first verse is going to talk about the purpose of this book. So we can chant. Anybody knows this chanting? Otherwise, I will try. Okay, I will try. I told Anu to learn chanting, so hopefully she will pick up very soon, so that you don't have to listen to me chanting. So today I'll chant. We will go one line per line, so you can all chant. So that way it will create a vibration. So the first verse. So the first verse by tradition, the first verse of any book of Prakarana Grantha, by tradition, it has to express its intent properly. I'll explain what exactly, how it is done. So let's see. So the verse 1. Tapo pichina papanam. Pichina papanam. Shantanam vitaraginam. Shantanam vitaraginam. Mumukshunam apechyuyam. AtmaBodho vidhiyate. Simple Sanskrit. This anybody can learn to chant. So he tells AtmaBodho vidhiyate. The simple trick in interpreting Sanskrit is you go back from left to right. Any word. And this is a poetry. So poetry, you may have to shuffle the word little bit. So the first point is AtmaBodho vidhiyate. I am composing AtmaBodha. So the intent is made very clear, right? I am doing some work. Then he is explaining why. Mumukshunam apekshyoyam. For whom? The people who are mumukshus. Mumukshus means people who wanted to get out of their sufferings, who seek freedom from suffering, who seek moksha, who seeks the highest purpose of life, who seeks the highest possibilities of their life. So I am composing this work called AtmaBodha. For what? For helping mumukshus, for those who seek a higher purpose of life. So those who seek to get out of the sufferings of life, or those who seek enlightenment. So the intent is made very clear, right? AtmaBodho means vidhiyate. I am composing AtmaBodha, or AtmaBodha is being composed for mumukshunam apekshyoyam, the one who seek moksha. And then what means couple of qualifications are given. He says, tapopi china papanam shantanam vitaraginam. So three things he tells. China papanam shantanam vitaraginam. China papanam. Papa means impurity. China papa means what? The one who eliminated all the impurities of the mind. The people who are fit for enlightenment. The people who are fit for freedom from suffering. They should have couple of pre-qualifications. And one such qualification is a pure mind. So a mind that is fleshed out all the papas, all the impurities. Papa loosely translated as impurities. It's not original sin. So papas here means it is impurities. The one who eliminated all the impurities of the mind. Then what? Shantana. One whose mind is quiet, stable. So pure mind, qualification number 1. Second mind is calm mind, Shanta. And the third one is Vita Raginam. Vita means free. Raginam means from dependency, emotional dependency. A mind which is quiet, a mind which is free from emotional dependency, or a mind which is calm and controlled. That mind. So two such people. So the first thing is the text AtmaBodha is composed for anybody who seeks liberation, anybody who seeks the highest purpose of life, anybody who seeks freedom from suffering. And what is the qualities of that student? One is China Papana. All their mental impurities are flushed out. Second thing is Shanta, their mind is calm, and Vitaraganam, free of any emotional dependencies or turbulence. Those who attended our Vedanta class, do you hear me saying every class two things, Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Sthiti? This is exactly what it is. And how can you gain that? He tells Tapobhi, by practicing tapa. Tapa means any dedicated activity. Any dedicated activity for a higher purpose is known as tapas. It's not like standing on one leg or hanging from a tree. That's symbolic representation of tapas. Tapas means any spiritual practice you undertake can be called as tapas. Karma yoga is a tapas. Upasana yoga is a tapas. So, by the practice of karma yoga and upasana yoga, those who made their mind pure, those who made their mind calm, and those who made their mind controlled, such people, for such people who has desire, who has deep interest in getting into the highest purpose of life, getting into the highest possibilities of life, I am composing this book called AtmaBodha. Good start, right? The whole theme of the book is introduced in one verse. So, tapopi china papanam shantanam vitaraginam mumukshunam apekshoyam atmabodho vidhiyate. I am composing Atmabodha, or Atmabodha has been composed for the people who seek the highest purpose of life, who with their practice, with their spiritual practice, have cleaned their mind and controlled their mind. For such people, this work is done, composed, made. So let's see a little bit more detail. So there are certain traditions when you compose something in the ancient words. It is always believed that these type of textbook starts with some auspicious. Auspicious means it is not any jataka or anything like that. Certain words. So if you look at all the what you call the sutras, you can see it started with atha. Lot of mantras starts with om. So here the book started with tapas, the word. The word tapas is considered as an auspicious word to start in the context of this work. So that's very interesting and noted. So this tapas, as I said, it is a practice undertaken for achieving a higher or a noble goal. So any goal which is aligned with dharma, if you pursue, if you put consistent effort, what happens? That is called tapas. The tapas, the literal meaning is from the word tapa, means heat. So the heat will be there. You will be working hard for that, and that is what is indicated. And symbolically in Puranas, you would see these rishis will be doing penance by putting fire all over the places, etc., etc. That means it is a symbolic representation of the effort. They are ready to suffer a little bit. Means they are ready to sacrifice some of their conveniences, some of their luxuries for that noble goal. So once you undertaken the tapas, what happens? One gets the necessary purity and stability of the mind. So the first thing anybody needs is the purity and the stability of the mind. So this tapas is the door to that auspiciousness, and this tapas is a path which leads you to these two practices. The practice of karma yoga, upasana yoga, can be considered as tapas. It cleans all the dirt in our mind and makes us ready to receive whatever knowledge that is being taught. So I think I made it multiple times clear in the Bhagavad Gita class and the Vedanta class. Without this pre-qualification, like a pure mind and a stable mind, this knowledge about the self will be para aksha anubhuti. It will be not a direct experience. So if you want to experience what we are being taught here, what being taught by Shankaracharya, we need to consciously practice karma yoga and upasana yoga. So I gave you the other day, right? What is karma yoga? Panchamahayajna, start with that. Every day, little bit. If you don't have any other time, sit and pray. 5 minutes, pray to God for the well-being of the society, etc. So, and Upasana Yoga means I talked about 4 types of Upasana. So these are regular practices we need to have. Without that, this will not make much benefit. Okay. So this benefit of tapas, China Papana, the first one, purified from the mental impurities. Vita Raginam, freedom from emotional dependency. So that way the turbulence of the mind will be controlled. Shantanam, stability of the mind. And Mumukshutvam, you will feel a desire to go higher. So this is the benefit of tapas. So when you practice tapas, you get these qualification, and these qualification, the students with these qualification, if they study this book, I am writing this book for them. That is what Shankaracharya tells. So this is a recap from our Vedanta class. If you remember the Vedanta class, we discussed something called Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. If you remember, Viveka means the ability to discernment, like discernment, that is the word, or discrimination. So what is right, what is wrong. So that will give you the China Papana. And Vairagya means dispassion. Dispassion means what? Lack of emotional dependency. That's what it is simply. It's not that you don't like anything. No, absolutely not. I'm not obsessed with anything. That's it. And then Shama Adi Shakka Sampatti. That is the third discipline, mental disciplines. And that is what makes us Shantana. And Mumukshutvam, desire for liberation. This is only to connect you with what we covered in the Vedanta class. Other than that, nothing. So this is just a mapping. And finally, any such textbook, AtmaBodha or TattvaBodha, when it starts, it is a tradition that the first verse introduce something called Anubandha Chatushtaya. Anubandha Chatushtaya means 4 prospectus. So let me just quickly explain what are they. The first one is called Adhikari. So any book will tell who is Adhikari, eligible student to practice this textbook. Can you tell me who is the Adhikari here? The first verse clearly explained. One who has China Papanam, right? Shantanam, Vitaraginam. These are the 3 qualifications. So those are the Adhikaris of this book. So don't tell me that, don't worry, I don't have it. That's okay. You just practice Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga. So that's it. So the Adhikari is defined. And second thing is Vishaya. This is a traditional style. The first words should give me these 4 details very clearly. So first one is Adhikari. So who is Adhikari? We talked about that. And second one we saw is Vishaya. What is the subject matter of this book? It is, the subject matter of the book is AtmaBodho Vidhyate. The knowledge about self. That is what it is. So the Vishaya is given. And the third point is Prayojana. What is the benefit of studying this book? Shankaracharya himself tells, even a fool will not take undertake an activity without expecting a result. So you need to expect a result. Karma Yoga doesn't mean that you should not expect a result. That is not what Karma Yoga tells. We'll see that later. So what is the result? Mumukshutvam, right? It's a liberation. It's a path to liberation. That is the benefit. And Sambandha. Sambandha means what exactly is going to help me to get the Prayojana. So he said, I am composing this book which is going to act as a Sambandha for you to get that liberation. So this is a standard style of our scriptures. Look at the way they do. It's brilliant. By just looking at the first verse, you will get the whole purpose of this book. 4 things. Adhikari, right? The Adhikari is given. Vishaya, the subject matter of the book is given. Third one is Prayojana. And fourth is called Sambandha. Adhikari, Vishaya, Prayojana, Sambandha. Adhikari means qualified student. Vishaya means the subject matter of the book. Prayojana means the benefit of the book. And the sambandha means how I can realize that benefit. This is very important. Have you seen the modern, something called blueprints? Before you take any big work in big companies, they call it as blueprints. And you would see that benefit realization is a key thing. What exactly is the benefit you are seeking out of it? And there will be some plan saying that this is how you realize the benefit. So this is very important. It follows the same style. Program charters in the modern world defines these things. But this is 1200 years back, Shankaracharya is writing. And that's the first verse. Any question?
So Rajaji, like
Yeah.
in the previous slide talks about Anubandha
Sadhana Chatushtaya Sambandha.
right. So that's like all the process of becoming eligible.
Yes, so Sadhana Chatushtaya Sambandha means you can just listen to the introduction to Vedanta. There is we did one session on this. What means, see, if we are using a means of knowledge, there has to be certain conditions for that means of knowledge to work. For example, if you use your eyes to see an object outside, if there is no light, is that going to work? Your eyes will be perfectly working, but you won't see anything. So sufficient light is one prerequisite. So for using Vedanta as a means of knowledge to know myself, there is some precondition. And that preconditions are known as Sadhana Chatushtaya Sambandha. There are four-fold qualification, they say. One is called Vivekam. You need to know what is real and what is unreal. Second thing is called Vairagyam. You should not have emotional dependency. Your mind should be completely under control. That doesn't mean that you won't cry, but it is in your control. See, you are driving your car. Nobody is saying that don't speed the car, but you should have the control. But if you don't have the control over the wheel, and if the car is going in an uncontrolled pace, is that good for you? Isn't that what is happening in our mind? I say something to my spouse, and after 1 hour I think, what? I should not have done that. Why? It was I never had the control over the wheels. So that is very important. And then third, 6-4 discipline. Yep, means just to enumerate: Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana. So this is going to come later in this AtmaBodha. So I'm not going to elaborate a lot right now. And the last one is Mumukshutvam. You should see a higher purpose in life. The purpose is not just to go and drink and sleep and eat, and then that's not the goal. You should feel that, say, for example, if I get 10 more years of life, why should I get that 10 more years? Should I get that 10 more years to suffer, to cry, to be in stressful, or should I get some beautiful days which are good for everybody, for myself and everybody? So you should see a higher purpose in life. So that's the mumukshutvam. And then actually, just to clarify that, how to gain this qualification, Vedanta tells practice karma yoga and upasana yoga. So as a beginner, because last week somebody was asking me the question and I explained, what exactly is the beginning point? Practice karma yoga and practice upasana yoga. Don't worry about anything, because that is going to give you the necessary qualification. Okay, so this is the first verse. So let's go to the next verse. This is beautiful verse, brilliant example. The second verse. So let's chant the second verse.
I think there is a question from Bhuvanaji.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Sorry, Punaji.
No problem. You mentioned about the 4 devotees, right? So the Jigyasu, does he fall in this last step? In this category?
Yes, Mumukshu. The Jignasu is Mumukshu.
Okay.
Right.
And you also mentioned about Shankaracharya's disciple Bhagavad-pada, right?
Patmapada.
AtmaBodha. And his guru is Govindapada.
Shankaracharya's guru is Govindapada. His disciples are Patmapada, Hastamalaka, Sureshwaracharya, and Totaka. 4.
Okay.
So,
You know how AtmaBodha got, means those who are interested in stories, these stories are all additions and deletions. We have no guarantee about the authority or the authorship of the story. I'm just going to narrate. AtmaBodha was a very dedicated student of Shankara. So his name was Sanandana, was his name. So he was very committed, very loyal to his teacher. And one day, Padmapada was standing on one side of the river. Shankara was staying on the other side. Shankara called him, Sanandana, come. He didn't think anything. He just walked over the river, and the stories, the legend tells that there were lotus wherever he put his step. And since the lotus came when he stepped over it, he came to known as Padma Pada. Pada means where he the foot, and Padma is lotus. These are all additions, deletions, infiltration, penetrations. So just take it. If you want to believe it, believe it. If you don't believe it, don't believe it. That doesn't diminish the glory of Shankara. If you believe it, it's not going to elevate the glory of Shankara. That much I can tell.
so just like Jesus Christ, Padmapada also walked on water.
Yeah, exactly. So all means you can see the same stories with every master, whether it is a Christ or Buddha, whether it is a Krishna or Rama. People always add stuffs. It's very interesting, right? If you play the game of telephone, you don't have to go to a generation. Like we have some 20 people here. Like if I tell the first person, if you pass it to the 10th person with his own sentence, I'm guarantee. It's a game we play, right, in the corporate team buildings. Game of telephone. So that's very important. So these things will get added, but I wanted to let you know that this is how he got the name.
So Rajesh, the first look you said Sanskrit is simple. So you said while translating it, we have to go from some direction.
No, I think, see, I was telling, a Sanskrit word is a compound word usually, right?
Yes.
So a compound word, understanding the compound word, the easy way is read from right to left.
Okay.
So that's a simple solution to understand Sanskrit. Don't worry about that. And I didn't say that the first 2 verses is simple. I said that all the verses are simple in Sanskrit. Yeah. So let's go to the second verse. The theme of the first 2 verses, the purpose of this book, and who is an eligible student. Right. So the second verse is going to talk about knowledge, the importance of knowledge. So he tells, let's chant, he tells, Bodhonya sadhanebhyo hi Sakshat mokshaika sadhanam Pakasya vakni vajnanam Vinamocho na siddhyati. So how do means if your goal is the highest goal of life, which is freedom from all suffering, is to know yourself. If that is the goal, what is the means to get that? So Shankaracharya tells, Bodhonya sadhanebhyo hi, as opposed to every other spiritual practice, Sakshat mokshaika sadhanam. So compared to all the spiritual practices, when you look at the spiritual practices, oh my God, infinite number. You have bhakti yoga, you have hatha yoga, you have pranayama, you have meditation, you have puja, you have charity, you have mantra japa, hundreds of things. Considering if you consider all these practices, Shankara make it very clear. This is the beauty of Shankara. He comes to the subject matter straightforward. He tells, Bodho anya sadhanebhyo pyohi. Other than knowledge, any other spiritual practices cannot give you, means it's not a direct means for self-knowledge or enlightenment. Other than bodha, meaning the self-knowledge, any other practices is not a direct means of self-enlightenment. Then he gives a brilliant example. Pakasya vatni vajnanam vina moksho na vidyate. So you see the picture of a cooking, right? So imagine that there is a vessel. In that vessel there is water. In that water there is rice. And you are trying to cook. What exactly cook the rice? Is it the vessel? Fire, exactly. Fire is the direct cause of cooking, means cause or means to cook. But what is the problem? If I have fire and rice, can you cook? No. So you need some indirect means or supporting tools, but that doesn't mean that if you have water, water is not cooking the rice. Without fire, water cannot do anything. The vessel is absolutely mandatory. Everything, whatever that is required is a sufficient condition, but the mandatory thing is fire. Fire cooks the rice. Everything else support fire. So brilliant example. So Shankaracharya tells, if you want to know yourself, you need to use what? Knowledge. So what is the place of other sadhanas? He is not saying that the other sadhanas are important. The role of other sadhanas are like water, like the vessel, like the firewood, all that is required. But what exactly is cooking the rice? Vapni. Like that, what exactly is giving us the liberation? Knowledge. This example was a big, clear example for me, because a lot of people get confused. What exactly you hear, like karma yoga will give you liberation. Some people say bhakti will give you liberation. Some people will say hatha yoga will give you liberation. Not at all. So to illustrate this, let's go to the stock example of Vedanta. The stock example of Vedanta is the 10th man story. Right? Two examples I'll give you. One is the 10th man story. You all know the 10th man story, right? Anybody here who is not aware of 10th man? Oh, you don't know? Oh, wow. Okay, 10th man story is 10 disciple of a teacher went for a pilgrimage. Not modern day, ancient times. So imagine that they are living in a jungle and they are going in a remote village for the festival. In between there was a river, and they found that this river it was full and it has a current. So what they did was everybody swam. On the other side, the leader started counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many people he counted? 9. Why? He didn't count himself. So, what was the natural conclusion? One fellow was drowned. So then the second person said, no, I'm going to count. He also counted. How many? 9. So the conclusion was, we lost somebody. They started searching. They searched all the woods, all the trees, they searched the water. Somebody went into the water. They started crying, screaming. A big scene has happened. Suddenly a passerby came there. So he said, what is the matter? They started crying and explaining him. So first, what did he do? He asked them to sit quiet. Asked them to take a few deep breaths. When they were about to listen, he said, I am going to count. He counted 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 9 he counted. And then to the leader he said, Dashamaha Asti. In simple plain English, idiot, you are the 10th man. At that time, what did he got? Self-realization. A kind of self-realization. What? The person I was looking was myself. So this is the traditional 10th man story. So till he find that 10th man, what was his state of mind? Extremely miserable. Now let's say that he has undertaking spiritual practices. They were extremely miserable. So everybody said, okay, let's do some bhajans. They sat there and started singing bhajans. Is the 10th man is going to come? No way, right? Let's do Hatha Yoga. No. Let's do pranayama. No. Let's pray to God. Nothing will happen. Only one thing can remove their fear or the suffering. What is that? Knowledge. So if the problem is ignorance, no other solution other than knowledge. But remember, what exactly is the passerby did? When these people were extremely crazy mood, if he tells that you are the 10th man, is he going to listen? Even if he tells he is the 10th man, it won't register with him. So what did he do first? He did some pranayama, made them little bit calm, so that the knowledge, they are in a state to receive the knowledge. So exactly like that. The self-knowledge alone can make you free or give you the liberation. So hereafterwards, if you hear that Bhakti Yoga is going to give you liberation, not directly at all. The role of Bhakti Yoga is like a firewood. The role of Raja Yoga is like the water. That's it. But they are absolutely must have. Without them, the knowledge may not work. But what exactly is giving moksha? What exactly is giving the highest purpose of life is only knowledge. See, look at the clarity of Shankara, meaning it's crystal clear. And this example is such a brilliant example.
So, Rajaji, question.
Yeah,
Isn't self-knowledge the same as enlightenment?
absolutely. The enlightenment is a state and self-knowledge is the means. Okay, so let's continue. So the subject matter begins with this verse. What exactly is the subject matter? Knowledge of the self. So now the question is, naturally they say a preference is given to Jnana Yoga, because he said other than knowledge, self-knowledge, no other practice is a direct means to enlightenment. And the reason is self-knowledge is the direct means of enlightenment, because the other sadhanas or the practices is going to give me the eligibility to receive self-knowledge. The Hatha Yoga, the Pranayama, the Karma Yoga or any Upasana Yoga, it is to give me a stable mind and a pure mind. That's it. That's the goal of these yogas. After that, you need Jnana Yoga, the knowledge. Only knowledge can solve the issue. Imagine the issue of the dream. Let's use the same example. You are in your dream. I'll quote this example because this example was the funniest example somebody told me very recently. So somebody is dreaming that she is walking through New York City and somebody came and spit her and said that you also got corona. So that is the story. So when somebody spits at her in the dream, what would be her case? State. Extremely miserable, right? So let's say that in the dream she does pranayama. Is that going to help her? Yes, in the dream world, it will calm her up. That's it. What is the only means for her to get out of that? Convert that to a lucid dream. Know that it is a dream. That is knowledge. Again, knowledge. If this is the underlying point Shankaracharya is trying to say. If the problem is ignorance, the only solution for that problem is knowledge. Okay, so this is the second verse. So it's 9:20, so I may stop here. I was planning to cover one more verse, but it's fine. So let's quickly recap. So we saw two verses. means we saw a quick introduction of AtmaBodha. The AtmaBodha is a Prakarana Grantha. And what is a Prakarana Grantha? A book written for introducing Vedanta to spiritual infants. I'm borrowing from words from Swami Chinmayananda. He's known for this powerful language. So Swami Chinmayananda said, this has 68 verses. The focus is the self-knowledge, is the focus of AtmaBodha. And means authorship is said to be Shankara, but there are some disputes, but it doesn't matter. Message is more important than the messenger always. So let's keep that attitude. And then we said the first verse introduces the purpose of this book, meaning 4 things introduces. One is who is the Athikaris, eligible people of this book. We saw 3 qualification. China Pana, the mind free from all the impurities or all the sins. Then Shantana. Shantana means one who is quiet, whose mind is quiet. And then we saw one more. Vitaragana. The mind is not emotionally dependent or emotionally intelligent people. We can say that. And such people, and what is the benefit? It will lead you to the moksha. And what is the sambandha? This book is composed for that. What a brilliant way to introduce it. And I also said, what is the means for gain this qualification? Tapas. So tapas is the qualification. And I also said, tapas is an auspicious word in our culture. Another brilliant book that starts with tapas. Anybody know? Valmiki Ramayana. Valmiki Ramayana, the first word is tapa. Okay. The next verse we saw, there are so many spiritual practices, but there is only one spiritual practice that can give you directly moksha. That is knowledge. If the problem is ignorance, the solution is knowledge. That doesn't mean that the other sadhanas are not very important. So this is the 2 verses we saw.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.